Oh, hello, everybody. It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. I'm your host, Craig Lindell, and we are talking about sports. I hope you've been enjoying the top 10 sports stories from 2018, all those features that we do every year on Waiting for Next Year, the website where we put words. We type them, and then we publish them, sometimes with pictures. I hope you've been enjoying them. I enjoy this series every single year. And even as the voices at Waiting for Next Year change, it's really great to kind of see all these different takes on kind of the last word on these big stories. And I think there are only 2 left to go. So hope you've been enjoying them. If you do, share them with your friends. It's always nice when people share our work. So let's talk about what else other than Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is just a constant topic in the Cleveland sports media landscape, which makes sense. Cleveland Browns quarterback is almost like being president of the Cleveland sports scene. Sometimes people are unqualified for that role, and other times they are, and Baker Mayfield is certainly qualified. And it was the stare down heard round the world after the Browns scored a touchdown. I don't even remember which touchdown they scored at this point, but Baker Mayfield ran backwards all the way to the end zone to celebrate with his teammates, staring down the Bengals sideline, including former Cleveland Browns head coach Hugh Jackson. And, I expect Colin Cowherd and these types of talking heads in the sports media landscape to have a take on these things. The real surprising thing is that everybody gets surprised that they have a take. But then I was at Christmas Eve gathering with family, and my own mother was bringing it up as a topic of conversation where she didn't really appreciate, she thought it was rude or uncalled for or just generally bad sportsmanship. And as a woman going on 70, I think she's entitled to that opinion. That's not a surprising take either. And I can't even say that she's wrong. That's a personal preference. But Baker Mayfield's not living his life for the 70-year-old fans. He's not trying to make your mom or your grandmother happy. He's playing for his teammates. He's playing for himself. He plays with an edge. And yeah, he sometimes is a bit of a punk. He's absolutely a bit of a punk. And I think he would probably admit that. I think he's kind of unapologetic about it because it's part of what drives him to be what he thinks is the best version of himself. And yeah, sometimes it's corny, sometimes it's contrived, and sometimes maybe it's even a little bit embarrassing. And I might make fun of him if he played for anybody else, but he doesn't. He plays for the Browns. He's the Cleveland Browns quarterback. He's the president of Cleveland sports. Cleveland Browns quarterback is the unofficial president of Cleveland sports. So yeah, I'll defend it. I'll find ways to justify it, and I'm kind of okay with it. If that's what Baker Mayfield needs to play the way he's played since Hugh Jackson left the team, okay. All right, I'm here for it. It doesn't really bother me. There are scenarios where it would. So I understand why it's inconsistent and hypocritical and everything else, but so what? So what? We're finally having fun. And if the Browns beat the Ravens this weekend, no matter what it does for the Steelers, if the Browns sweep the Ravens, knock them out of the playoffs, and allow the Steelers to get in, I don't care about that either. I don't care about the implications of the Steelers getting in the playoffs. I want the Browns to win football games. I've always wanted the Browns to win football games. When they were 0-15 or 0-14 and they finally won a game, I wanted them to win that game too. Sorry. I want the Browns to win football games. That's why I watch sports. I don't watch it for draft picks. I understand the take that they should stink for draft picks or whatever else. But now, with one game ahead of them, don't confuse things. Don't try and create a scenario where Baker Mayfield should do anything less than try and win a football game with his teammates. Don't try and think of a situation where the Browns should do anything but play their very best players against the Ravens on Sunday. Now, obviously, Denzel Ward, who seems like he's had his second concussion in 3 games or something like that, maybe sit him out, okay? Maybe save him for next season. But anybody who's borderline healthy, get out there. Beat those Ravens. Make a statement. And that's what Baker Mayfield said. I know I'm just quoting Baker, Baker, Baker all the time, but get used to it. Hopefully this is the next decade plus of our lives, okay? Baker Mayfield said, the Ravens are trying to make the playoffs, and we're trying to prove who we are, or something like that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do it. Prove who you are. Prove that you're an over 500 team, and that you could have been even better if you'd started the season better. I'm not going to dive into Hugh Jackson or Tyrod Taylor, but prove that you're an over 500 team that could have been even better. Prove it. Everybody thinks it. Prove it out. So that's fine. That's great. I can't believe we're even having this conversation about, well, if it lets the Steelers in, maybe we shouldn't. No. You win the games on your schedule. You try and win every game. And the way people get hurt is by going out there with some weird kind of motive other than trying to win football games. So that's exactly what the Browns should do. They should pull out their entire bag of tricks. I want to see Freddie Kitchens empty his playbook. Show me every play you've ever designed that the Browns can effectively run. And I want to see them beat the Ravens. And I want to see them beat the Ravens badly. All right, where to next? So the Cleveland Indians rumor mill is still going. First things first, I need to admit to you all that I have no idea which prospects are good. I don't know whose farm system is deep. I don't know which low service time major leaguers have the most potential. I know basically nothing about the trade market for prospects and up-and-comers for Corey Kluber. So with that being said, I don't know what a good trade package from San Diego or Los Angeles looks like. This is where I lean on Mike Hattery. I lean on John Steiner, to name a few favorites at waiting for next year. I lean on basically the EHC crew, Jim Pete and company. All those guys. Sorry if I didn't mention you personally. You're all included. You all know more than I do. I don't know what a good package looks like for Corey Kluber, but I am compelled by the takes that I'm seeing from the likes of Hattery and Steiner, where they are not necessarily against trading Corey Kluber because he has giant trade value with 3 years of control of one of the best pitchers in Major League history. That's what Corey Kluber is, not Indians history. 2-time Cy Young Award winner, is one of the best pitchers in Major League history. And you can have 3 years of relatively good financial control, relatively cheap control. It's going to cost you. And so when the rumor mill's going and San Diego is rumored to include X, Y, and Z player, and John Steiner says, yeah, I think I would want more than that, I'm just going to buy into that. But I got to tell you, I'm finally coming around on the idea that maybe the Indians can be better short, medium, and long term if they trade Corey Kluber now. I hate it. I hate that the greatest, most decorated pitcher in Cleveland Indians history will be traded away and doesn't get to finish his career here. A guy who's even better or has had an even better career than CeCe Sabathia or Cliff Lee, who's still under control for 3 more years, is probably going to be used as a trade piece to kind of reboot the club. And I guess where I come around on this is I think it's more important for the Indians to maximize the window of Francisco Lindor at his age than where they are with Corey Kluber at his age. I don't want to predict the end of Corey Kluber's reign as a dominant, great pitcher, but if you're really betting on percentages, the Indians have gotten the very best of what anybody could ever hope to get from Corey Kluber. And so now maybe it does make some sense to churn that asset. I hate to say it like that, but churn that asset into more that extend down to a further window, a longer window, further down the road. So instead of saying, all right, well, we're heading into 2019, 2020, 2021, we are going to load up on prospects via Corey Kluber trade that take us into the mid-2020s. I can't believe I'm talking about 2024 and 2025, but that's where I want the Indians to be, because the last thing I want is for them to have to do a wholesale reboot the way they did after kind of the 90s runs, and after they extended their window into the early 2000s by borrowing from the future. And then we had the Eric Wedge Maniacti years, which were mostly down, down, down. I don't want to go through that again. And I think the idea is that you don't need the largest chip stack to win the World Series. You know, if we're talking in poker terms, you don't need the biggest stack. You need to make sure you make it to the final table. And the Indians, by trading Corey Kluber, maybe they shorten their stack a little bit, but they probably extend out the number of years that they can project to make the final table, if that makes any sense. I know the comparison falls apart, but you've got to extend that window where you make the playoffs, and then anything can happen. And the Indians do have a glut of starting pitching. And to trade the oldest elite, one of the oldest pieces and most valuable pieces, it could make some sense. And that's where, then again, I defer to the people who actually know these prospects and these low-level major leaguers, young major leaguers. I lean on them to tell me what a good deal looks like. And I really, really hope I've converted myself. I'm now in the position where I kind of hope the Indians do make this trade. I hope they embarrass a club in the long term in terms of what they get back in value. And I hope that they really cause themselves not to ever have to hard reboot the team. I hope it's a soft reboot. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think they can do that if they execute the way they should. And with the asset that Corey Kluber is, they should be able to do that. And man, I kind of hate myself for saying it, but I'm officially on board now. I never thought I'd be there. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys are having great holidays. Thanks so much again for checking out the best of 2018 stuff. We really love putting it together. It's been a lot of fun this year, so hope you're enjoying it. We have 2 or 3 more, depending on when you're listening to this. And we'll talk to you next time. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.